starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday morning trade room. One second here, I will get you my screen. You can see what's going on. Interesting start to the day. Okay, for those of you who are new to the room this morning, welcome. What you're looking at is the diversified trading systems. And the way I have mine set up, I have my Hawk micro scalper on the top left, the Falcon swing trader top right, Eagle trend trader bottom left, and the Raptor on the bottom right. The charts on this screen are the NASDAQ. On my other monitor, I'm watching the YM, that's the mini Dow, and crude oil. But I would be happy to pull up any market which is of interest to you. Okay, we just had the opening bell. Let's take a look at where the market's been and where it might be going. So we'll take a look here on the Falcon, good a tool as any. Yesterday's session, a little bit on the choppy side, although it did have a nice move up and a move down in the afternoon. Finished the day on a bit of a bearish note. And then here in the overnight, off the London Open, we got a little bit of a rally. And the last few hours, it looks like the market has been content to go sideways. We're getting a little bit of a trend change signal now. But overall, we're still in a little bit of a mess. We're trading up against the hard edge here on the Eagle. And it looks as though we have had a decent test of the extreme. Right? The test of the extreme occurs when the market rallies, in this case rallies, tries to resume the trend and fails. There's a real possibility here that we could see this market continue lower today. That would not be out of line with what I was seeing on the daily chart. If you look at a daily NASDAQ chart, you'll see that the market does seem to be in a little bit of a sideways congestion and perhaps even getting ready to head lower. But we're holding our own for the moment. I'm not going to get too excited, although we do have this nice little trend change signal here. Might dial down the risk amount because it's early. And we have an opportunity now for a second push on this entry. The second push simply occurs when we let the signal trigger, show us where the buyers, in this case the buyers, because we're selling, show us where the buyers are at. See, we would expect some sort of reaction to this low here. Show us where the buyers are at, and then if the sellers can recover the market, then we'll look at selling it. All right, so there we go. Just a little hit and run style trade. See if we can't take it back down here to this primary resistance area, which is our first blue line above the gold line in our ultimate support and resistance suite, which is of course an add-on and something that you can use on any chart style, not just the DTS system. I'm going to give this trade a little bit more elbow room, just dial that back above this high. Well, now we're getting a bit of a conflicting signal here in our eagle. What I mean by that is we're working on a possible red bar buy off of a hard edge bounce, but just getting the first part of this signal. It isn't complete just yet. And let's take a look at what's going on here in the Raptor. Not much. Not much. The Raptor twisted up within this trading band. Oh, I think I just got tagged there. Oh, I did too on that reversal. That's all right. It was worth a try. Oh, James says the advanced decline is kind of in a positive mode right now, about 8 or 900 to the good, which means there's more buyers than sellers in the market at the moment, at least according to the New York Stock Exchange, which is where those figures originate. Okay, it is, of course, the first few minutes after the open. Normally, I don't take a trade especially the first few minutes after the open, but the way that NASDAQ had been performing pretty much the whole month of January, it was like that. If you didn't get on that first signal, that's it. The market was bolting on you. Okay, we're getting a couple trend change signals now. First micro-macro cross signals here in the hawk. Let's see, did we find our profit objective there? Yes, we did, right on the number, and then turns around. Also had a first micro-macro cross opportunity here out of the open. A little bit of choppiness going on though. You can see our filter. Excuse me, we're starting to introduce a few more yellow bars. Let's bring the YM over here for a moment, which seems to be running contrary to what we're seeing in the NASDAQ. We're actually working on a 4-arrow consolidation here. And we've just got the 3 arrows right now. Oh, there's our 4th signal. And this is the one signal I will take on the hawk off of a yellow bar. Oh, you guys. Now that's starting to run away on me a little bit. Now the thing with the 4-arrow consolidation that you like to see is if it has the makings of in this case, a bear flag, when the market is consolidating and gives you this type of shape, those tend to be a little bit more reliable. And while I put this back on the shelf, we'll take a look here on the Falcon, which is giving us a trend change signal. This is also on the YM. And you can see, as opposed to what we saw on the NASDAQ, our early trend change signal here earlier actually had a little bit more follow through. This was the comparable signal that we took on the NQ, but the NQ had less going for it. Okay, this is actually a late filter entry. Now it's a late filter entry because our trend line did not change color, but our filter did. Now everything has come back into sync. These tend to be very reliable signals for the most part. Oh, thanks, Jim. James says the advanced decline is starting to even out a little bit. The buyers are only about 600 shares or 600 stocks over the sellers. All right, so hopefully those, well, hopefully, we're short. Hopefully those sellers will keep selling and we'll see them challenge these lows once again before they move too high. Yeah, I agree. James says the YM seems to be the weaker. The NQ seems to be a little bit stronger. So right now it looks like we could be long the NQ and short the YM. What a fantastic spread that would make, because the NQ definitely still holding its own, pushing higher. Let's take a look here. Or trying to. This is on our hawk again. 4-arrow consolidation. You can see this 4-arrow consolidation not quite as pretty as the one we were looking at in the NQ. This one's actually kind of moving somewhat like that. Not quite the shape I was looking for, right? If this is an uptrend, we would like to see a 4-arrow consolidation give us that sort of shape, ideally. Now, that's not to say this can't work out. It's just to say that as far as formations go, one is a stronger look than the other. All right, well, the NQ starting to roll over a little bit. And we are about to print a red bar buy signal. This is kind of normally a sign of weakness, at least for most markets, not all. Some markets like the mid-cap, the EMD, the red bar buy, green bar sell actually has very good follow through to it. But in most cases, when you see a red bar buy or a green bar sell, that's telling you that the trend is weakening. The reason those signals develop in the first place is because the market starts making some very deep retracements. And that makes it difficult for the signal generator to not start flashing some bearishness. All right, so we're not going to get that red bar buy. We had a very nice sell-off in crude oil also. Here's crude oil on the hawk. Out of the North American Open, well, actually crude oil opened up way back here around 6 o'clock. Nothing going on. Failed first micro-macro cross to the upside. And we know the first micro-macro cross is a strong signal. So if one of those fail, we have a pretty good idea the market's going to move the other way. Here's that red bar buy, which we could have sold if you did not sell it, however. We did get the first micro-macro cross just a few ticks later, and a very nice progression lower there. So I might try to do a runner if we see another crude oil opportunity. Okay, the buyer's still trying to hold it together. Here's the YM again. This isn't a pure rule of three. Normally with a rule of three, we see 3 breaks against the hard edge. This is actually going to be more of a rule of 2. I would not count these breaks down here as part of the rule of 3. The rule of 3 is our counter-trend signal in the Eagle, and what it says is that when we get 3 breaks against the hard edge, or 3 signals, I should say, against the hard edge, that's a pretty good indication that the market is going to move the other way. And we normally end up selling that 3rd signal. But regardless of whether it's 2 signals or 3 or 4 or 5, the rule of 3 must always be preceded by a test of the extreme. That's your tip-off. So rarely will I take a rule of 3 trade off of 1 signal, but when I start seeing 2, I get a little bit more curious about the trade. So we've obviously broken the support here. We're watching the buyers trying to buy the market back. If it fails again at this point, well, that would be a very good place to sell. And let's see. Oh, I can afford to cover it above that high, which would be a great place to cover the trade. And our YM did find our profit target on our hawk trade. You can see it came down here, tagged our profit objective. This was off of that 4-arrow consolidation, and now we're retracing somewhat. This is the hard part about, well, the easy part about scalping is the quick profit target. The hard part is if you were trying to hang in there a little bit longer, trying to manage this extra position. Okay, so there we are right now with the YM getting some buying coming back from this 177.50 area, which was our previous support. Really need to see the sellers knock it down. Looks like they're making an effort here at 177.70, but if they don't take it over from here, then I'm afraid that that our rally could be, or our move lower could be a little short-lived. Okay, the NQ. Look at you. There they go. Somebody have a Steve Jobs sighting or something? What's holding them up? This morning, the NQ would have looked like a little bit of a gap. Well, actually, all the markets did. From where they left off yesterday, if we take a look at where they finished, they would have finished right about here somewhere, just approximately. And then they opened right up here somewhere, give or take. So this whole region through here is looking like an opening range gap, which is why I'm being a little bit hesitant on the buy side. A lot of times when you see a gap like this, the market will make an early effort to try to get inside this range. In fact, there was Marsh Jones, who you may have heard me reference before, the late Marsh Jones. He used to automatically sell the market if he saw an opening range gap. He would just start selling it. In anticipation of that early move to get into that void. So the Raptor has come out of this trading band, and now we're looking for a possible buy signal. I'm hoping that it's going to trade back into this band actually and take the pressure off of trying to buy something. We'll put a runner on our Raptor also. All right, let's go back here to the YM. You can see we're about, now we do have a proper rule of three. We have 1, 2, 3 signals against the hard edge, and we're looking to sell it. We've had our test of the extreme, so all our pieces to the puzzle are in. And the way this trade is set up, I'm actually able to risk it above the swing high, which is an ideal place to cover this trade. Because obviously if the market brings me in at this point and then reverses and goes above this high, chances are pretty good that I'm on the wrong side of this trade. Oh, and how did I miss this? Doggone it, I was watching the crude oil market, and I saw this consolidation, and we know with crude oil, because it's a little bit faster than most, this will be true for a market like gold as well. We don't get a 4-arrow consolidation, we get a 3-arrow consolidation. And that's exactly what we got here in crude, and a very nice move lower. So hopefully somebody was able to take advantage of that while I was looking elsewhere. Okay, the YM hit our profit objective here also on our Falcon trade. And this is one of the reasons sometimes that you see me dial back the stop strategy somewhat. As you know, I'm not one who's a real big fan of running tight stops. And the reason I don't like to run a tight stop is, to me, there's only one thing worse than a losing trade, and that's having a winning trade that you took a loser on, right? Because your stop was too tight. If we had, I know some people like to run a really tight stop on the ATR. So they'll run it like this maybe. Notice our risk amount never changes. When does the ATR flip? Okay, so the ATR flips, and now our stop comes down a little bit. I don't know how well you can see it. Those blue dots right there. Okay, we start taking a little bit of heat. All of a sudden we're stopped out and the market turns, and guess what? Goes back and hits your profit objective. Like, I don't know about you, but that sort of stuff just sends me around the bend. So the default, 2.618, is a pretty good default, but sometimes it can be a little cozy too. And what I was looking at here was this swing high. Remember what the swing points are telling you. They're telling you this is where the buyers and the sellers really dug in their heels, right? This isn't a major trend to the upside by any means. This is a big move higher, and then the sellers dug in their heels and said, okay, 178.15 or 10, whatever this works out to be, that's as high as you're going to go. They drive the market down. Buyers start buying 177.50. Comes back up. Sellers start selling again, 178 even. Comes down a little tug of war there, comes back down, 177.50, comes back up, 177.75, and now all of a sudden we get our sell signal and our late filter entry. Well, why would I not want to cover above this swing high? This is where the sellers have gotten more aggressive. Ideally, I'd like to cover above this swing high here, wouldn't I? Because this is where the sellers really showed their force. But let's see, could I afford covering that high? Oh, look at that. I can afford covering that high, and I can still get into this trade with 2 contracts. As it was, though, I chose to cover it a little bit tighter, but I still wanted to be above this swing high, which is why I dialed the risk amount back just a little bit so that I could cover above that swing high. So now our trade looks like this, and market comes down, goes up, no problem. We're riding out the swing, comes down, hits our profit objective. Exactly what we wanted it to do. So again, it seems counterintuitive, but remember, you're dealing with probabilities when you're trading. Oh, and I'm looking at this crude oil chart, and I'm kicking myself around the block for not taking that 3-arrow consolidation. Oh well, won't be the last move I miss. Not the first, won't be the last. Oh, fantastic. Okay, James is in a NQ short trade. We're all rooting for him. Jim says he's short from 42.45 3/4. So 42.45. Oh, sold up here. Good job. Good job, man. Well done. We are getting a first micro macro cross to the downside here, and we do have an opportunity for a second push on the entry. About the only problem I can see right now would be possible trend line support. Okay, we're working ourselves into a macro pullback signal also, which might give us an opportunity to get a slightly earlier entry. All right, we'll leave that one up. Okay, James is asking a question. Oh, but before I get to James' question, we are now getting a green bar sell. Oh, still moving higher. So possible green bar sell here in the NQ. And this is all based on our test to the extreme and a possible failure, possible move lower here. Now you can see I've offered up a huge stop on this one. Normally on the green bar sells, I'll cover it a little bit tighter than this. But we'll see if we can't get it a little bit more room. This might actually develop into something a little bit bigger, I'm hoping. I've got one runner in. And as we get closer to our profit objective, I will take this trade to break even. Because I'm a chicken. Around Indicator Warehouse, we're always joking that, we have these names for the birds like the eagle and raptor and hawk and falcon, but we haven't done the chicken trader yet. All right, so there's our profit objective. I'll roll it to break even, enable my stops, and we'll see. We'll see if it goes any lower from here or not. Oh, thanks. James says first hour low on the NQ, 42.29.50. Oh, that's way down here. Okay, thanks, James. Oh, okay, and we got tagged on break even on the other one. Also coming back with another first micro macro cross signal here. And this one I would probably want to cover above there. Oops, let's not do that just yet. Aha. Okay, James is telling us the advanced decline has turned over. We've got a little bit of a short bias going on now. That explains some of the early morning choppiness. Okay, so James, he says an observation on my trading pattern, not so much a question. He says, check your account performance. How many bars in time are you allowing for the trade, hence wider stops? I've been looking hard at that to change my belief and or emotion. Normally, I try not to rush into a trade. As much as I hate missing a good opportunity, like this one here in crude oil, I would rather, I have that little quote on my nightly updates that says I'd rather be out of a trade wishing I was in than in a trade wishing I was out. So I try to give the market every opportunity to give me a solid signal, even if it means missing a signal. As far as how long it takes for the bars to complete, that's irrelevant to me. I know Ray Burke was always a big one on letting the bars or looking for quick bars, and I think that just suited Ray's personality a little bit better. We're going to take this one to break even now too. I think that suited Ray's personality. And there's something to be said for trading a method that's comfortable for you. But no, it doesn't matter for me how long it takes for a situation to set up. If it takes a long time to set up, that usually just means that the market is finding its way. There's a lot of neutrality between the buyers and sellers. They have no real incentive to go one way or the other. Sorry about that. Just had a phone call, people. No, not to phone me during trading hours. Or they should know not to phone me during trading hours. Okay, the NQ still struggling somewhat. Look at all these yellow bars coming up and how our filter is breaking up here in the hawk, showing a definite reluctance to head lower, getting another rule of three type formation here. We do have an opportunity to short this one. And you can see 1, 2, 3 breaks or signals against the hard edge. We have had our test of the extreme. Looks like we're also looking at a possible trend line failure here. The NQ holding tough though. All right. The Raptor working on a possible trend change here. Still got a little ways to go with the Raptor. Remember, the Raptor is not your fast tool. Now they're all kind of skidding sideways a little bit. I'll leave this eagle order in play. even though we are working on a possible red bar buy. Crude oil coming back with a late filter entry signal here on the Falcon. And you can see we're generating some double dots, which are a little bit on the bearish side. Here's another instance where I would probably want to cover my trade above these highs. And I'm thinking, well, we haven't generated the sell signal just yet. We're just getting some warning dots, so I actually have to wait for the sell signal to complete. But I'm thinking this is probably a trade that I'm going to want to take below these lows regardless, because that's where the buyers are buying, right? And I want to make sure that we can overwhelm the buyers. So we'll see whether or not that actually works itself into a proper signal. We do have a with trend signal on the eagle in crude oil. And that's looking like this. So the eagle already producing a signal, but the rest of the tools not so much, not yet anyway. Still looking a little bit sideways. Come on, NQ, you know you want to give it up. All right, well, it looks like we're getting a buy signal there, believe it or not. So we're going to scrub the sell signal for just a moment. Well, this looks like a good time to go get a cup of coffee. I will be right back. Well, it doesn't look like I missed anything so far. Yeah, I can't believe the NQ. My goodness. So here was our red bar buy, which I admit I was reluctant to take. It is a high probability signal though. And I was a little reluctant because of this test of the extreme, this sideways action that we're seeing, our filter breaking up. These are all characteristics of a market about to change direction. So I did not want to get trapped on the wrong side. It is okay to have a bias on the day, so long as you don't let your bias cloud your judgment too much. Ooh, the advanced decline pretty much even up at the moment. So no real bias in the marketplace. Well, that seems a little obvious too from our charts, right? No matter what chart we look at, yuck. Look at our filter down here. Oh my gosh, all this flip-flopping. Even our stop strategy. Even though I've dialed it back, look at how it's going back and forth, back and forth. No real direction, at least not to the NQ. Let's take a look here at the Raptor. Same kind of mess, sideways band, no real directionality to this. Compare that to a day like this, where we do have some directionality to the band, obvious trend. So we might have to hang tough for a moment here. Even the YM, which was originally very, or more bearish, very bearish would be a little bit of an overstatement. Not so much now. Shoot a line across these highs, see how we're doing. Notice 4-arrow consolidation right down here, but one that I would not be, while it's technically a 4-arrow consolidation, not one I would be really keen on taking. And because, well, it doesn't have much shape to it, right? It's declining. Whereas if the 4-arrow consolidation built this way, I would have been all overselling it. As it was, we had a 3-arrow consolidation. Never got that fourth signal, not yet. Okay, so here comes the NQ. Here we are again on the Eagle with our rule of three type scenario. We did generate a sell signal here, although technically the rule of three is the signal that's in play. That's going to flip over in a moment. So the buyers and the sellers, tight little duel going on. And the NQ definitely the stronger. Oh, and a slight bearish tone to the market now. James says that the decliners are running about 200 shares above, or stocks above the sellers. So a few more people bearish on the stock market at the moment, which is what we're seeing here in our YM trade. Also, this is our YM Eagle. And if we get through this low here, I'll probably bring the trade down to break even. I'm trying not to rush this one. In fact, you know what, folks? It would be smart to bring the trade down above that swing high. Seems like a pretty good one to cover above. James says we're hovering back down around that 10 a.m. low, and sure enough, we are at this 177.20 area. Crude oil on our Eagle, just about to hit our profit target. Oh, just hit our profit target. Just in time. So a nice little Eagle trade with trend. Had a green bar sell way up here, actually a couple. But that was a rewarding little trade. And for those of you who are watching crude oil, hopefully somebody picked up this late filter entry signal. We were watching it earlier. It didn't trip. It didn't trip until here, but great move lower. So now all my friends will be bugging me again. How low is crude oil going to go? And the YM just about to tag our profit objective here. Get down there. Come on, YM. You know you want to. And I should get this to break even also. Oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare turn on your heels right there. Okay. It's going to be like that. We're going to run a tighter stop still. We're going to be 2 bars back, 2 ticks off. There we go. That's all I'll give them. The NASDAQ is the trooper here, though. boys and girls. Push them down. Come on. Boy, oh boy, what a mess. We had our first micro-macro cross here. This is trying to work itself into a macro pullback. Oh, there we go. We're seeing that trend line just flip color. There we go, almost there. This is a wannabe macro pullback. There we go. Now we have the macro pullback signal. I think the trend line that I shot here must be off the mark a little bit. James is watching the DAX and he's seesawing a little bit. He's saying, "Oh, the DAX is losing it. No, the DAX is firming up. Oh, come on, DAX, lose it." Isn't trading fun? Especially when the market is seesawing like this. Eh? Loads of fun. Okay, the YM finally fell off and hit our profit objective. Hooray! Hooray for us. So that was our short, our our rule of three signal. So that one worked out very well for us. And I think we've hit our first profit target here, so I had better do something with my stops. Let's see where parabolics are at. Well, parabolics haven't flipped over just yet. Oh, sorry, they have. Let's go with parabolics and get this trade to break even. There we go. So if something comes of this, hopefully the parabolics will hold me in, providing, of course, I don't get tagged at break even. Okay, the NQ starting to fold over a little bit now. Oh, spoke too soon. It's these lows that we're looking at here now that they're fighting. These guys right here. See, they're getting some buying pressure, so we've overwhelmed the buyers here. And now this is where the buyers really dug in before at 42.30. Which would actually be, I think, near where the market opened this morning. Let's see, 6:30. Yeah, pretty close. Oh, fantastic. Phil says the Russell down from 1204.30 to 1186.10. A great move lower. Yeah, the Russell is a fantastic instrument. If you don't have the Russell in your data assortment and you don't want to add it, you can also watch the mid cap, the EMD, which will mirror the Russell. All right, well, they're trying to hold the market up best they can, the buyers, that is. The Raptor band has officially turned over. So the Raptor now officially a seller's market. So we'll see if we come away from this hard edge now with a sell signal. Oh, and we got tagged on our break even, which is fine. What I do when I do that type of strategy where I'll roll the runner to break even, I'll always make a note in my journal whether or not that was a good call or whether I would have been better off with a wider stop. See if I had stayed with the ATR stop, which is what I think I had. Nope, the ATR stop would have stopped me out also. So in that case, it looks like it was probably a good idea to get that trade to break even. Wow, I can't believe the NASDAQ, how strong it is off of that support area. The YM and crude definitely heading lower, and the NASDAQ, somebody send them the memo. It's supposed to be moving lower today. So here's the daily NASDAQ. And if you draw yourself a couple of trend lines, you can see that we're definitely in a little bit of a congestion. And this is why I was a little bit more bearish on the day also, because we were bouncing off of this top trend line. It made me think that the market should try to head lower, maybe here to 4150. But you can see overall for the day, anyways, the NQ seems to be slightly bullish. So 42.50, the obstacle to the upside, 41.50, the obstacle to the downside. So, but this is why I was thinking we were going to see a weaker day in the NQ today. And you can do this with any of your charts. It never hurts to have a longer term point of view. Step back from the chart a little bit. Okay, crude oil has quieted down considerably. Makes me wonder whether or not they're done for the day. Crude oil typically will make anywhere from a 90 to 100 point move. And it looks like it's pretty darn close to that. So from around 52.60 to 50.70, yeah, we've got about a 90 point spread in there. That may have been the move of the day in crude oil. Okay, well, we're back to more and more choppiness. Jim says the advanced decline is still about 500 to the seller's side. We'll see whether or not that translates into a lower NQ. See, what we're looking at here is the buyers are buying it up from this support, which we would expect them to. Now we need the sellers to knock them down. If the sellers turn them here and knock them down, that should tell us the sellers have control of the market. And at the very least, we're going to make another run at the lows, in which case I'll probably be a little bit more aggressive with my trailing stop. At the moment, I'm trying to give the sellers every advantage to see things my way. but they're holding tough. They are holding tough. Wow. Yeah, I think James is right. James is saying the NQ is holding everything up. I agree. I think the stock indices want to head lower today, but everybody's looking at that darn NQ and saying, what in the world? What do they know that we don't know? Nothing. All right, so here come the sellers. This is what I was talking about. Okay, so the sellers have taken control. Right? They're coming in a little bit earlier. They're coming in at 42.42. They got some work to do, though. All right, here we're coming with a green bar sell. And the buyers trying to show their hand a little early. But we really need the sellers to tell them no. Come on. Oh, what a tug of war. Come on. Here we go. See, the YM's gotten the message. The YM heading lower. Oop, forgot to point out this late filter entry on the YM. I'm so mesmerized by what's going on in the NQ. Late filter entry signal right here. Trend line did not change color. Filter did. Everything comes back into sync. That tends to be a very high probability signal. And you can see we're just about to our profit objective. Hooray! Would have hit our profit target there too. So when you see those late filter entry signals, they're ones that you want to get excited about. And here on the Hawk even, we had a better looking 4-arrow consolidation. It was still a little bit sideways, but you see we did have a little bit of slope to it here. And whether you saw this as a 4-arrow consolidation or a macro pullback, either way, we had very good follow through from that on the YM. So the YM, big mover today. And here we go again with the NASDAQ. Pounding these lows here at 42.30. Come on. Somebody take 42.29. 3/4. Come on, somebody get in there. I hate to tell you, NQ, but you're heading lower today. Get on down there. Oh my gosh. So we have all these buyers parked right here. Right? They're all just sitting there, clawing for every tick, hoping beyond hope that they're not going to get run over. Here they go. Come on. Let's watch the action. So what was the low of this bar? 42.30? Yep. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now we're starting to engage some of the sellers or the buyers' exit orders. And that should, oh man, that should get them out of the way, but for crying out loud. So a little bit of a reaction again, the buyers trying to hold the market up. The YM putting in a nice move lower. See, the YM knows what they're doing. Oh, you guys, you're killing me. Okay, the Raptor should be coming back here with a sell signal pretty quick. Getting a macro pullback signal here on the NQ. I would probably cover it above this swing on the macro line. Now we're into yellow bars, so that nixes the order for me. Looks like a nice little test of the extreme to the upside, though. And a good setup should this market head lower. Okay, well, what I'm going to do here for the NQ is I'm going to go with a more aggressive stop strategy now. And this is pretty much the last chance that the sellers have. If they don't pull it out of the bag from here, if this bar, I'm hoping this bar will finish red, I'm going to roll my stops in above these highs. If they can't recover the trend after that, well then I want no part of it anymore. curious what is in the history of this chart that's giving me such grief. Oh, well, there you go. All right, so we had yesterday's, or the overnight. Oh, no, pardon me. Those would have been yesterday's highs. Yesterday's highs, today's lows. That's why we're having all the kerfuffle. And here they come again. Ay, 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 ay. Come on, pull them down. Sometimes you need to tap the top of your monitor a little bit to shake the price down. Or here, I'll try to pull it down with the mouse. Come on, get down there. Okay, and here they come with yet another buy order. It is a red bar buy, but we have a bearish band, so it's not a signal that I would normally be interested in taking. Lots of support on this low, though. You could make a case for buying it. Oh, there they go. They're going to tag me here in a second. All right. Now I'll make a note in my journal whether that was the correct thing to do or not, or if I had left my stops above here. Let's see whether or not that would have eventually got to my profit objective. Yeah, like Phil says, I need Ray here to push. Push! He always cracked me up when he did that. Oh my gosh, he was funny. Well, the rest of the stock indices have had a good move lower. The NQ has been less cooperative, but it's almost as though we're seeing a little bit of a turnover now, maybe a little bit of a profit taking even in some of the other indices. Here's the YM, and you can see very much a downtrend today. But notice how our legs are starting to get a little bit shorter, right? So here was the first leg that got violated. So you could say that was leg number one, leg number two. Well, actually not that much shorter, I guess. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it, give us maybe a couple short moves like that, and then maybe even go the other way. Not a huge rally, I would say. but it does appear to be a little bit of profit taking. Working on a possible late filter entry here. Now, the late filter entry, you need to be aware they're very much like red bar buys and green bar sells. They're not something that you're going to take indefinitely. You know, if we see two macro pullbacks within a trend on our hawk, that tells us that the market is probably getting exhausted. Same thing with late filter entries. If we start seeing too many late filter entries, the market is probably running its course. Even though it's a very reliable signal, it's not a signal that's going to perform indefinitely within a trend. There is always that space in the trend where the market starts to slow. The buyers in the NASDAQ, definitely a strong bunch, not willing to give it up. All right, well, we're getting some signals here, but they're kind of flip-flopping at the moment, so we're just going to give them a little bit of time. Okay, here they come. The Raptor not giving us a signal at all so far. We did have a first micro-macro cross here, and I considered dialing down the risk on it and just throwing in a buy. The reason I'm kind of holding off is, well, this market is just such a mess. Like, look, there's no follow-through one way or the other. In hindsight, of course, you can see there's follow-through. Here was follow-through on a green bar sell. Here was a first micro-macro cross that just hit its target and turned. Another one hit its target and turned. Just not a whole lot of fun in the NQ this morning. So that lack of commitment, lack of follow-through threw the damper on that. And, you know, we're seeing a similar thing here on the Raptor. Didn't really get a clean signal anywhere. This one was kind of a makeshift sell off of the test of the extreme, but we would have actually put that together more with what we saw with the other tools rather than what was going on in the Raptor. Jim says the Russell's holding everything down. It's negative. Everything else has moved to a more positive bias. Well, you know what, folks? I think I've had my share today. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 winning trades. Oh yes, that's right. We took an early loser there. So the NQ has been the one that has, well, we did okay on the Hawk. I think I gave some of that back here on the Falcon or on the Eagle. Okay, not so much. I usually don't check my numbers until the end of the day. But I think we might almost be there. We'll see if anything shakes loose in a few moments here, but we've got a 4-figure day going on here, and I don't feel much like taking a flyer. Okay, so our first micro macro cross signal did work out. We took a little heat, but it looks like it is going to hit our high probability profit target. There we go. Wow, NQ leading the charge. Well, we know 4250 was a bit of an obstacle on the daily chart for the NQ, so we'll see if they put the brakes on when they get up there. We did get a trend change signal here on the Raptor. A trend change buy, and this is a full-on buy signal right here. Everything is in sync, exactly how we like to see it. And yes, I was a little reluctant to commit to the buy side. We did get a comparable trend change signal here on the Falcon. Our trend line changed color. Here's our up, down, up pattern with a buy signal. I suppose we also had a break there. Yeah, that's always nice to see those breaks when you get them. And even some trend line support. Looks like we would have hit our first target, or are very close to hitting our first target. And of course now 4250 is going to come into play. All right, you guys, I think we're going to pack things up for the day. If you are trading this afternoon, well, your guess is as good as mine. The day seems to have a bearish tone to it. However, the NASDAQ is refusing to move lower, and in fact is very much sideways on the day. In fact, that might be the best way to look at this entire session, is just bracket this entire range, and you know, if you're inclined, sell near the top, buy near the bottom, or just wait for it to get outside of this range, because once it gets outside of this range, you know you're going to see a retest, and after you get that retest, that's your opportunity to sell. And likewise to the upside, if we get a break up here, we will get a buy signal off of this retest. So I don't know. I don't know if you want to hang out and see if anything comes of that, but it looks like that's what's going on with the NQ right now, is very much range bound. Very happy where they're at. If I was a betting man and you made me pick, I would say the NQ is going to head lower today. I think that seems more likely for the NQ, as well as the rest of the stock market. Although the YM and the Russell and the E-mini have all made substantial moves lower already, so I think we might see them finish lower, but I don't know if they're going to push much lower than what they are now. Crude oil I think crude oil's move for the day is done. We don't usually see much out of crude oil in the afternoon. We had a nice move lower today. Here's crude oil. Several opportunities, and now they're just kind of going sideways a little bit. Don't be surprised to see it perhaps trade back here to 51.40, which would be a hard edge retest of this band, after which we would expect some sort of reaction, and at the moment I am still very bearish